At 68, Elijah Cummings passed away today. That was the announcement that many people greeted the morning with. Very sad news, obviously when any politician dies, but particularly Elijah Cummings. There are few people serving elected office right now that have rightfully accrued the sort of reputation and respect that he has, not just from people of his party, but across party lines. And all this morning, I've been going back through his personal history and looking at the different eulogizing quotes that a number of different people who knew and worked with him have put out. We're gonna have some of his more powerful moments from speeches. And it's the sort of thing that for me is just very difficult to accept. It's the death of someone who certainly I didn't agree with on every single policy, and I don't care because the personal qualities that this person had, the inability of almost anyone to claim that what he stood for was not what he truly believed, that just really gets me. It really strikes at me. And so let's talk about some of these quotes. I'm gonna give my impressions more towards the end, but there was a comment from his now widow after his death, which apparently took place at a hospice center. He apparently passed of health issues that he had held for some time. It had been about a month since he was seen on Capitol Hill. But his widow, Maya Rockymore Cummings, put out this statement saying, "He worked until his last breath because he believed our democracy was the highest and best expression of our collective humanity, and that our nation's diversity was our promise, not our problem." His commitment to protecting voting rights and civil rights and fighting his entire life for that, fighting for it far longer than I've even been alive, was something that was echoed in a lot of the comments put out by people who knew him. Stacey Abrams, who shares with him a passionate fight to protect democracy. She said, "Our nation has lost a mighty fighter for democracy, accountability, equity, and justice with the tragic loss of Congressman Elijah Cummings. He never forgot that his was borrowed power, which he wielded in defense of the vulnerable and on behalf of the American people." AOC, who served on a committee with him for less than a year, but enough to see him as a sort of mentor figure, says, "A devastating loss for our country. Chairman Cummings was a giant, a universally respected leader who brought profound insight, commitment, and moral fortitude to Congress. His guidance and vision was an enormous gift. I will forever cherish his example. May he rest in power." It's really tough because, like, how many politicians have we seen through the course of our life that are either just weak and spineless or obviously in it for the interests of their donors? They're there to pursue an agenda that neither truly in their heart or in their brain do they follow themselves. They don't care about their constituents. Like, that is the go-to, that is the default with which we have learned to judge virtually every politician. And again, whether you agree with him on everything or not, he was obviously genuine. He was coming from a historically difficult fight. I read in his biography, at 11, he helped integrate a local swimming pool while being attacked with bottles and rocks. He was an 11-year-old and he was doing it already. And then he did it for another half century. That's just amazing. And when I look at like politicians like Devin Nunes and Ted Cruz and these people who, if they have a principle, they don't stand by it. And I doubt that they have them in the first place. It sucks to lose someone who had them and was constant in fighting for those. And one of the most important individual votes, and again, I'm not the sort of person that tries to, like throw a person aside or cancel them based on any individual vote, but one of the most important moral votes that a politician could have taken in the past couple of decades was the invasion of Iraq. And Elijah Cummings was one in the minority who voted against it, that knew that even though anyone who talked against it, let alone voted against it, was going to be attacked nonstop as not being sufficiently patriotic or deferential to the American empire, but he did the right thing and voted against it. Again, it's not to discount every individual vote or anything like that, but we should take note when you lose someone who was strong and passionate and had values and stood by them. And so in that vein, I wanna play a couple of clips that I put together. The entire show could have been things like this, but I tried to limit myself to a couple of recent speeches that he gave. And so one is when he was speaking with the acting DHS chief about our network of concentration camps, and here's what he said.
You feel like you're doing a great job, right? Is it what you're saying?
We're doing our level best in a very challenging.
What does that mean? What does that mean when a child is sitting in their own feces, can't take a shower? Come on, man. What's that about? None of us would have our children in that position. They are human beings. And I'm trying to figure out, and I get tired of folks saying, oh, they just beating up on the Border Patrol. Oh, they just beating up on Homeland Security. Now, what I'm saying is I want to concentrate on these children. And I want to make sure that they are okay. I will say it, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's not the deed that you do to a child, it's the memory. And I told the head of Border Patrol the other day, I said, I want to know what's happening in the meantime. We are the United States of America. We are the greatest country in the world. We are the ones that can go anywhere in the world and save people. Make sure that they have diapers. Make sure that they have toothbrushes. Make sure that they're not laying around defecating in some silver paper. Come on, we're better than that.
It's just devastating. I mean, that was one of in the past 2 years, there's been so much damage done to, obviously our institutions, our norms, and so many immoral policies pursued, but that was one of the worst. And he was a reliable voice in speaking out against what he saw there. And like I said earlier, it wasn't just Democrats that are, like looking back and saying like this was a guy who said what he believed. Back during the Benghazi hearings, Darrell Issa, Trey Gowdy, these were two Republicans, hardcore Republicans, who they were focusing on this issue to the detriment of literally everything else. And Elijah Cummings fought against it. And they cut off his mic and he kept going, he wouldn't yield. And so you might think that like Trey Gowdy, who was obviously his opponent in this, would do what you see commonplace now and just attack him, try to destroy his reputation. But Trey Gowdy said, it's not about politics to him. He says what he believes, and you can tell the ones who are saying it because it was in a memo they got that morning, and you can tell the ones who it's coming from their soul. And with Mr. Cummings, it's coming from his soul. And on important issues, it always was. That's why he has this reputation beyond almost anyone else in government, because he was authentic, he was true, and we have so little of that. Nina Turner called him living history. I mean, I want to show you one other clip. I know that we're going over, but there was one more on voting rights, which was obviously, along with civil rights, it was the fight of his life, and so here he is.
1 year ago today, on my mother's dying bed at 92 years old, former sharecropper, her last words were, do not let them take our votes away from us. She had fought and seen people harmed, beaten, trying to vote. Talk about inalienable rights. Voting is crucial, and I don't give a damn how you look at it. There are efforts to stop people from voting. That's not right. This is not Russia. This is the United States of America. And I will fight until the death to make sure every citizen, whether they're Green Party, whether they're Freedom Party, whether they're Democrat, whether they're Republican, whoever has that right to vote. Because it is the essence of our democracy.
I mean, again, I know that we're going over, I'm sorry, but like they're like I'm a progressive. There are other politicians who line up with me far more on the policy, who are more progressive, but he's decent, okay? And that is important. And there are some people who write that off and say, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your values are, get rid of the values. Here's a couple of issues, agree with me on this. If you ever do anything that makes me doubt you on that, you're done, okay? And so I have no doubt that on this day when all of the progressives, let alone everyone else that I look up to, are memorializing Elijah Cummings, there are gonna be some who are going to take this as a moment to pick him apart and to attack him because he wasn't sufficiently right on one issue or another. And there will be an audience for that. There always is. And so I just want to say, if you do prefer that, if that's what you want in this moment, then I want you to do me a favor. Don't watch this show. Don't at me on Twitter. I'm not interested in that, honestly. There is far too little decency. And I don't mean fake bipartisanship. I don't mean, casting aside your ideological goals for, needlessly reaching across the aisle. I'm talking about actual human decency, truly caring about equity and about caring about people who have been cast aside by this government. And if you feel like when we lose one of the few people who truly has stood for those things for the course of their life, that what you need is for that person to be laid low, if that's what you need, I don't want your support. The movement does not need your support, okay? That's sort of petty stuff. And honestly, like the sort of example that people like Elijah Cummings set, I'm not simply sitting here saying I want other politicians to live up to that. I want other political pundits and analysts to live up to that. I want to live up to that. I'm not that good. I'm really not. I was talking before the show about some tweets I sent today that don't live up to this example, but I'm trying to be better and I wish more people would. I wish more people cared about that and looked for that. Whether it's on the side of elected politicians, on the side of activists and commentators, whatever position you hold in this ridiculous thing that we're doing, like you should be able to look at Elijah Cummings and learn something. We all can. Some will choose not to, but we should try to learn from this man. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.